Coming out. Candy Panda very relaxed, it seems, in picks and bans.
Talking about this, we've seen Wukong being banned against SK Gaming in the past, targeting that expense scaring. They don't want to let him get his hands on that jungler. But it means that with the Wukong being up, with Annie like we highlighted as well, so is Lucian, so is the likes of Karma, which is something that Unlimited has run twice already, 1 win, 1 loss. The only reason I highlight that, if Copenhagen will favor some form of mobility, they might consider going that route.
Well, Lee Sin locked in straight away. The Annie was picked up by N-rated as well. Youngbuck, is it going to be the Lucian for Forgiven? I'm expecting that one.
I think it would be. I don't maybe expect them to lock in the Lucian super early right now, because Candy Panda has not necessarily played much Lucian. He's trended more to the Jinxes and, you know, the Vaynes even.
Interesting that he went for a Karma. This is, bear in mind, this is their first pick. They went for Karma. This better pay off for them.
It's support first. I mean, so, again, it's a safe pick. Maybe Copenhagen was not 100% sure what SK Gaming are going to run. We highlighted the Wukong already. AP Lulu. You know, we talked about it yesterday. We came into this week almost expecting pro players to pick it up because it's so powerful elsewhere. And you've already got great utility. You've got great damage from Wukong if he gets his Black Cleaver up. So it's this unique pick that we're seeing, and we'll see how Jesus can handle it.
Yeah, and it's something that's been working well in the solo queue. We'll see if it transitions well in towards the LCS. 4-4-6, I believe it was for Alex yesterday. Yep. Not a startling performance, but it worked well for the teamwork. However, we see a Ziggs and a Caitlyn being picked up for the Wolves.
So Caitlyn, I think a little safer. Well, you know, if he'd gone for Caitlyn Lucian, it would have worked out. I almost prefer the Lucian because of his dash being able to break the slows. So if you get caught by a Glitter Lance, Lucian's going to be able to dash away, remove the effect, and then get further away. Caitlyn's got that slightly longer range, which is going to help out, and I think probably a little more sieging power. Combo that with the bombs and, you know, the poke that you can get done from Karma. There's a lot of poke that the Wolves already got for both sieging and for wave clear.
We'll see whether this Vayne gets locked in for Candy Panda. Is clearly considering this as an option. It's something he has played in the past, something he's always fell back on when he realizes, if I want to win a game, I go for Vayne. That's his own quote. But Ezreal's going to be considered. Ezreal worked very well yesterday for Roccat.
Now, Ezreal did very well yesterday in the last second, has swapped to Graves. That's the first Graves.
Interesting point here. Graves is actually Forgiven's favorite AD carry, but he doesn't consider it viable right now.
What pro players consider viable and
what he
works.
doesn't consider what works is very different.
Mordekaiser's is not viable at all,
exactly.
right? I mean, that's never going to work. But, you know, this combination that SK have already got is a lot of damage. The poke that you get from Glitter Lance plus a lot of AP is going to apply a massive slow, which is going to make Tibbers easier to land in conjunction with all the damage that Wukong's going to be throwing down. There's a lot of burst. I also think the lane presence that this is going to give when comboed with Annie stuns against a Caitlyn Karma is very, very scary. So Forgiven and Unlimited have to play the poke game and sit back at range as much as possible.
Oh. Nevertheless, Candy Panda keeping that unique champion count rising throughout this LCS. I believe it's into the 70+ range now, which is not bad for a champion pool of 117-ish.
117, 116.
I can never keep up because every time we're always just a little bit behind, so I'm never sure whether they've released champion, but they haven't at the moment. However, Trundle picked in final pick, something Youngbuck has been trying to play well against Renekton's, but currently hasn't been successful.
And if I recall correctly, Youngbuck played Renekton against Wicked's Trundle and basically went even in the lane, which is something that you don't want to do. If you're a Trundle, you need to help to go even against Renekton. Renektons really are able to bully you around in the early stages of the game. And Freddy, who is my sort of underrated player, I'm expecting him to bully Youngbuck and get a little bit in his face, and we'll see if he can pull it off.
We'll see how it goes. We asked you guys at home to tell us who would win this one. And of course, let's see who you voted for. According to LOLesports.com, 60% of you have picked SK Gaming.
I think that's fair. I actually feel like this game, in my mind, is 50-50. I know both teams have the ability to defeat their opponents, but Copenhagen Wolves need to bounce back from their 4-game losing streak, and SK have to continue living up to the very high standards they set for themselves on Friday of Week 3, because that now is the benchmark. They need to hit that in every game.
Well, the Copenhagen Wolves generally start off well in the lane phase. We'll see if it works out for them this time around. Of course, SK Gaming, they had Candy Panda carrying them to victory, but we should also give honorable mentions to many members, because Svenskeren was incredible on Pantheon, and Rated was making plays, locking everybody up, but with Candy Panda pulling out a Graves alongside Annie. We'll see how that works up against the Karma and Caitlyn, and more to the point, whether they'll be in the same lane together.
Well, I want to see how this Karma and Trundle combination will work out in the team fights. There's a lot of movement from the Copenhagen Wolves with Trundle's frozen domain is W. You've got Lee Sin that can hop, skip, and jump. You've got Karma that's going to be speeding up the team and slowing down the enemies. I want to see if the Wolves try maybe kiting that Wukong Cyclone and the collateral damage from Graves, and then re-engaging once that burst is out. Because I think if SK... Ooh, advantage Wolves. I think if SK don't get a lot of burst early on, I kind of prefer the team fighting power of the
30
Wolves.
seconds until minions spawn.
Rated's pondering going in towards that bush, but there is a support player in Unlimited waiting for him, but it seems it is going to be a standoff. Doesn't look like it's an invade, just everybody waiting for those timers to come up on those wards, and then they're going to try and get them placed as deep as possible.
And this mid lane is going to be quite a farm fest, I feel. We seen yesterday the Kayle versus Lulu. Alex was able to get a kill on Kayle, and then later on traded, killing each other. Both Ziggs and Lulu can get good wave clears. Candy Panda's going to get caught out taking a lot of poke here.
Yeah, built over Peacemaker, good stun, slow coming out from Unlimited as well. That's half of the hit points stripped off Candy Panda, will back off. Should be able to, ooh no, tell a lie. That interruption is going to cause problems for Rated as well. He's taken down to half health.
This lane is now basically in complete control from Copenhagen Wolves. The fact that Candy Panda and Rated haven't backed away, they don't want to fall behind on levels, because if they do, they're going to be in even more trouble right now. So they're on 50% HP, and we talked about how the poke from Forgiven and Unlimited is key to controlling the lane. They've basically taken command, and it's up to SK plus some help to bring it back.
Oh, and Rated's trying to bully his way in towards this bush, but you can see Unlimited continuing to do basic attacks. However, with that Annie, does have long-range basic attacks, but against the Karma, you can see just keeps poking him, having to start chucking through those potions.
Yeah, he's stunned Unlimited. Candy Panda hasn't responded, and they're just poking still.
Yeah, both poking back and forward there. We saw the buckshot coming out from Candy Panda as well, trying to catch on towards Forgiven. Did a good trade on Forgiven. You can see his hit points were taken down to half. It's
actually quite interesting because Candy Panda has been able to poke Forgiven down as well. They've both used their potions. There's just that little biscuit from Unlimited still available. And it's quite interesting to see that neither Forgiven or Unlimited are targeting the same champion. They're kind of just going, hey, I'll 1v1 my effective counterpart.
Biscuit was used by Unrated. He's going to get pushed up, Candy Panda, on towards the tower here, but he should be able to farm this one out. Takes a pill to a Peacemaker, though, for his troubles. Making sure he gets that farm down. Bookshot is available if he wants to try and lay it back on towards them. Oh, not quite catching the range on Forgiven. Svenska, no, he's in the jungle. You can see he's on the golems. Also, the Wraith being taken by Amazing as well, or the White, whatever you'd like to call it. We prefer to call it the large Wraith in Europe. And everybody knows what we're talking about then. They are both close by, but neither are going for the gang instead. It's Wukong heading towards the mid lane along with Lisa.
So Wukong right now, he's got those double buffs up. He's got the ability to at least combo with some soft CC in this mid lane if he decides to come in on Coutard. But for the time being, is just farming the wave as best as he can. Jez has the wave pushing towards him, which is helpful for Lulu. Just going to play a little more defensive and try to avoid those bouncing bombs that Coutard is throwing out. And I think we talked about the strength of Renekton versus the Trundle. Youngbuck, I feel, is a little bit aware of this matchup, and he's actually playing quite defensively. That wave is pushed very heavily against his tower now.
Proving how to play that, despite the fact Youngbuck's the most famous probably Renekton player, or used to be in Europe. Of course, everybody plays it these days. Freddy122 doing a fantastic job of that, and this is something we're kind of used to seeing for SK Gaming. I mean, you pointed him out at the start of the game, of course, the fact that Freddy really is like the split push king and really one of the unsung heroes of the European LCS right now.
I would go so far as to say that he's arguably the best split push top laner right now. In these last few weeks, he's done very well. If you think back to some of the games where he's played Shyvana, he's actually engaged from the side very effectively, picked fights appropriately, and he tends to do very well in his lane. As you can already see, he's got himself the CSE, he's got some vision in that top lane. But the thing is, we need to see how it contributes to the team fights, because in the mid game, I think Renekton's going to be stronger, but once we get to the heavy late game, I think Trundle's going to outclass him. Trundle's going to offer a little bit more with, the pillar and the ability to steal those tank stats.
At the moment, Youngbuck's just keeping them off that tower. Youngbuck himself was quite vocal when talking about this matchup, believing that if he takes that teleport like he has, that he can outtrade and keep up with a Renekton. Not Obviously, you know, a man that's played Renekton so much, you got to feel he's going to be fairly confident in that matchup. However, we see Candy Panda backing off, get himself a Vampiric Scepter and a health pot, which means, of course, Copenhagen Wolves are going to pressure this bottom turret.
Yeah, and I'm very glad you mentioned that teleport, because we'll see how Youngblood actually makes it affect the rest of the lane. First one to back, Candy Panda is going to allow 50% of this damage on the towers. Forgiven and Unlimited just keep hammering her away. I took a quick look at the runes. Forgiven is not running lifesteal runes. He's gone for attack damage and attack speed as well. So allowing him to get, you know, a couple extra auto attacks down early in the lane and trade a little more efficiently. We've seen some Fury crafting on Reddit talking about how you can get the CS and then quickly fire off an auto attack to your opponent before they can respond.
Well, we saw, of course, earlier on the pressure at that level 1, the damage that they put down, and look at the CS difference now. Because Candy Panda was forced away early, he's 20 CS behind on Forgiven. This is something you never see from Candy Panda.
No, definitely not. But all of the damage they took, like you've already highlighted, stem from it. In addition to it, the long range of both Caitlyn and Karma is just keeping Candy Panda and Rated playing very defensively. Candy Panda and Rated need to basically all in. They need to get a stun down, they need to combo the buckshot, the smoke screen, get all the burst they can to try and get lane dominance, which I think is why Candy Panda went for that early Vamp Scepter. Survive the poke, and when you go for that kill, have that additional burst of that AD.
We'll see how it works out for him at the moment. Candy Panda's only level 4, level 5 being picked up by Forgiven as well. Getting in towards Jez's. Of course, this middle lane, we haven't seen a great deal between them. It is a very passive one. We're just focusing on the bottom at the moment because Candy Panda keeping that trade going. Amazing and Wukong and Svenskeren both looking around the mid lane again. But Lulu, we saw him yesterday, so already this is kind of like a commonplace thing. You know, 2 Lulus already in week 4. I feel like we've seen this already. Yeah,
but like Alex said, he did it first, so he's claiming it for his own, which I found a little bit humorous. You know, we're seeing on Jez's on this Lulu, he's got 5% cooldown reduction. He's picked up the Chalice, going to be working towards that Athenes and Holy Grail. And part of the reason you rush that cooldown reduction is to get 2 Glitter Lancers off of that help picks, you know, get 2 of them down, and that's how Alex was able to grab himself a kill. But look at this poke, still, Candy Panda ready trading.
This trade was not going well, but they're going to focus on Forgiven, and he easily takes that damage. Candy Panda, the bookshot missed, then the basic attacks missed. He was just taking the damage constantly from them. That's a bad trade.
Very importantly, they got the Ignite out of Unlimited though. So, yes, Enrated comes out worse for wear, but they've got the Summoner spell down. Enrated is now back for the first time, picked himself up some items, got some potions in his back pocket, and when he gets back to lane, getting close to level 6, there is the potential of a kill, because look how low Forgiven is.
Don't forget that Mega Inferno Bomb has a long range on it, and Candy Panda is well in range, but it is the red buff that Copenhagen Wolves are going to be stealing away. Just spawns out there. We do see Svenskeren coming around the side though. Is he going to try and go for it? Will he try and go for the smite steal? Yes, he will. Who manages to get it? Cyclone being used there. Svenskeren taken very low, and it's amazing that actually walks away with it.
Yeah, but here comes Jezz from the mid lane. We do see a nice little escape by Amazing, and I think maybe if Jezz had responded quicker, he needed to roam to react to that, and Svenskeren gets away with his life.
And that is something we've talked about already in the past. The fact that Jezz does not leave that middle lane. The few times that he's done it, it's gone so well for SK Gaming. And he talked about it even in the interview with yourself. It's like how his confidence was kind of knocked. He just felt everybody was against him. And then suddenly realized, wait a minute, I've got a big fan line here waiting. Maybe I can start making plays for SK.
Well, I want to see how he makes plays with the Lulu. Lulu's going to be a little bit more passive in lane, doesn't necessarily offer the same roaming power that you have with, for example, a Ziggs. However, if you combo that Lulu with the Wukong or the Renekton, you've got a good wild growth, you've got good slows, and once he gets the likes of his Athenes plus Lich Bane, there's also going to be some good on-hit damage, but we'll have to see how he handles himself, because he's got a long way to go before he hits that sort of item plateau and strength peak.
And also, obviously, the problem, the fact that he's up against the Ziggs, a big lane pusher. He's also going to be forced to just constantly defend, which is what he's doing at the moment. Both went for that Chalice, both going into the Athenes, so we'll see how it develops between those two mid laners. Of course, in the top lane, well, we do see a bit of lane dominance from Freddy here, but they are up to level 7, so we'll see how this transfers once they start hitting those later levels.
Now, I stand to be corrected, but I think Freddy goes for this double Doran's Shield, double Doran's Blade, Doran's Shield build every time he's played Renekton, it's something he really likes to go for. Gets all of the early game stats and it's working in his favor. Amazing. Oh, they're coordinated.
Oh, it does not manage to catch him out though, because the stun was used from N-Rated along with the flash. Ace and a hole going to come through. Candy Panda decides to tank that one for him, which actually puts his lane in trouble. We do see you just off of the side, Svenska, and he's waiting in the wings. Is he going to come around there? Hasn't got Cyclone available. N-Rated tries to come around there, desperately trying to get that stun charged up. You can see the damage already on that tower. It's so low now.
Yeah, 10 minutes on the clock, and remember the tower doesn't have that bonus damage reduction or armor as in previous patches, so it's going very, very low. Svenska does have flash, does have Cyclone. He's coming in stealth.
He's stealthed in. Is he going to land on towards it? Oh, Tibbers misses. Does manage to catch on Amazing. Forgiven already dodge away from that one. And SK Gaming, now they realize the tower's gone.
Yeah, tower's definitely got it. Candy Panda's in trouble. He's going to get caught.
A good Piltover comes out, but they haven't got the follow-up. Mega Inferno Bomb was available. Kaltad decided to turn around. He was heading down there. That could have been a free kill.
It definitely could have been. And, you know, I think N-Rated tried to make something happen. He threw the Tibbers down. Amazing was able to get away by that safeguard. And of course, if he's not CC'd, if he's not stunned, you can't get the rest of that damage in place. Now, SK have their core forgiven just a little bit. Candy Panda's low. Got to look for the peel. They're going to get him down.
Just stun him out. Collateral damage and honor damage. The barrier comes out. The Ignite running. Candy Panda cannot get the final shot on him, though. And now they're in trouble. Now they've got to run. Amazing comes around. Candy Panda, Mega Inferno Bomb comes in. First blood comes in. It's Jessens that gets it. And Rated's going to go down. The leash from Unlimited will lock him up. And it's going to be Amazing that will take it.
2-0. The Dragon and the tower. The Copenhagen Wolves have secured themselves a commanding lead right now. We talked about the roam potential of a Ziggs. He didn't even need to really go that far. He walked down the river, Kaltad threw out that Mega Inferno Bomb and picked up the kill onto Candy Panda. I think committing a little bit too much for the potential kill on Forgiven, it backfired for SK Gaming.
A lot of CS potentially lost in that bottom lane as well. You see Candy Panda has respawned, getting back there, but had to go for the pickaxe. Hadn't quite got enough to go for that BF sword, so he's really struggling in lane phase at the moment.
Yeah, and it's all stemmed from that level 1. It all stemmed from the amount of damage that he took early on. I think Forgiven and Unlimited played the lane very well. They kept them low, they kept attacking, and they kept, you know, Candy Panda and Rated down. And it's part of the reason that you've got that sort of CS buffer, the towers down, etc. The one saving grace here for SK Gaming is that Freddy's got himself a lead. He's got 25 CS in the top lane. Young Bucks already used their teleport to come back to lane and try stay even, but it's not working out from yet.
And you know, I cast my mind back to the first time these played. I'm pretty sure we said exactly the same words. The one saving grace is Freddy 1-2-2 in that top lane. Then I believe he was on Shyvana, this time around on Renekton, and again, doing a fantastic job. But the rotations are on from the Copenhagen Wolves. We see Unlimited and Forgiven trading places with Young Buck. Now they're in the top lane, now they're going to pressure that top turret.
This is going to make Freddy's life very difficult if he is the one that's left to stay there, and I almost expect SK to do that because Candy Panda needs some time to farm up. He needs to get himself a little bit more powerful, try get himself towards an item, because at the moment, he's going to be outclassed in damage by that Caitlyn Bloodthirster. I actually think if Renekton and Wukong get a good jump on Forgiven and Unlimited, they have enough damage and sort of CC to keep them locked down to secure a kill, but we're going to have to see if Svenska can react quickly enough.
Keeps the turrets away, but look at that, they're just going to chime him down with damage. Knock him out. Amazing, creeping in towards that lane. Wukong is close by, but he's not sticking around at the moment. Svenska going just doing the white at the moment, just off the side. But Freddy 1-2-2 has got to be careful he doesn't get tower dove.
Yeah, we do have Cyclone available here for Svenska, and Freddy's going in. He's throwing the Dominus down, but that's just for poking HP.
Oh, he's trying to keep them at bay, and I'll tell you what, if that kick would have landed, I think he may well have followed through on that one instead. You see the duo pairing of SK Gaming desperately getting that red buff. They are being invaded. You see Youngbuck coming in for it. Yeah,
Youngbuck's being a little bit brave here. He may get actually caught out. He's got a lot of HP though. Enrated did spot him, and Candy Panda with the red buff, they're going to surround Youngbuck out. This could be a 3-on-2 situation. SK is aware of it, and they've picked the fight.
Good pillar of ice on towards Jez's. He's just going to stand around and fight this one. Maybe going to pressure it. Meanwhile, in this top lane, they're going to go in towards Unlimited. That's going to be the Cyclone. Unlimited in trouble. He's just going to get popped by Svenska.
That's exactly what we talked about. The Spirit of the Elder Lizard, plus the damage that Renekton offers once he's above that 50 Fury, works out in his favor. Freddy should be able to get away. Kaltod doesn't land the Sonic Wave.
Oh, tries to get it. Doesn't quite land it. Jez is still yet to perform in the mid lane, but then again, Kaltad really picked up that kill with that Mega Inferno Bomb. Forgiven pressure in this top lane turret though. This may be a second turret for the Wolves.
Yeah, there's no one to defend him. And this is going to help the Copenhagen Wolves go a long way to bolstering that mid-game weakness that we've seen from them. They got the first dragon of the game, they've got the first 2 towers of the game, and I think Forgiven and Unlimited, the duo that we highlighted in the video, they are the ones leading from the front. They've taken the towers, they push Candy Panda and Enrated around, and you just see Candy Pan doing the best he can to catch up.
Yeah, combo on Youngbuck there just really did nothing. Youngbuck went instead, like most people have gone, with the Trundle, going towards that Blade of the Rune King first. He's cleverly gone towards that Sunfire Cape, playing against what he's against obstacles, with the jungler doing a lot of AD damage. Pretty much everyone involved, apart from Jez's, all attack damage. Well, apart from hit-rated, of course.
I'm actually very happy you mentioned that, because there's not a traditional ability power damage source coming up from SK. Lulu is going to hit relatively hard. The burst from Annie can get up there, but it's not like a normal threat, Draga 6 for example. So it makes Copenhagen Wolves' itemization choices a lot simpler. Buy armor, get Randians, hell, maybe even work your way to a Frozen Heart if you want to mitigate the auto attacks from the SK team, and that's a smart decision here for Copenhagen Wolves to work towards.
First tower of the game picked up for SK Gaming, so they're going to pull themselves back a little bit of gold and experience across the team. Of course, they are still 2,000 gold behind at the moment. SK having to do a standoff in this mid lane, and Copenhagen Wolves realizing they're not going to be able to push too much further and back away and start taking all the jungle objectives.
Yeah, once again, Freddy is the saving grace here for SK Gaming. We have seen Jez's go even in lane, all right? He's held up with Kautard, he's stayed even, got the same CS, still hitting that sort of 10 per minute, which is great. But he doesn't have the same tools to work with that Mega Inferno Bomb, for example. So I want to see now that with there's 3 towers down, how do SK respond to the roams, and do they try setup for kills? Like Sven Skjern, he's once again trying to look for Forgiven. I think Forgiven's going to back away. There's a ward there that Sven Skjern walks through.
Yeah, just walks straight over it towards it. But that does mean he puts himself in trouble up against Unlimited. We do see just off the side there, he's only going to place the ward. Amazing comes down as well. Everybody was ready to collapse onto Sven Skjern. Quickly backs off in towards that dry bush.
Yeah, Sven Skjern unfortunately not going to find an opening in this setup, but is going to be in place to jump on the 3v3. SK, where they're going in!
Going on towards Unlimited again. This time though, Amazing does kick him away. Is it going to be enough? Unlimited goes down and Rated takes the Mega Inferno Bomb and lives. And now they're focusing on towards Kautard. He backs away. Jez is doing a good combo, but it's another kill for Sven Skjern.
That was an amazing kick from Amazing. Now Forgiven's caught by Candy.
Is it going to be enough though? Does manage to catch him out. Collateral damage is available if he wants to try and finish off with it, but he misses! A flash from Forgiven gets him away. Explosive pack being used from Kautard to escape Jez's. This could be the Dragon for SK.
This works out for SK. They've got a bit of a better health advantage right now. Rated is going to use that little bit of a shield to get some HP up, but Copenhagen Wolves can't challenge for this. So SK grab that Dragon at 17 minutes. This was the time frame that we talked about in the pregame, how the Copenhagen Wolves tended to not time their abilities, not time their ganks, so to speak. And I think if that ward wasn't in the river up north for SK Gaming, Svenska wouldn't have had that clear engage opportunity, catching Copenhagen Wolves unexpectedly, so to speak. And Amazing, like I said, he had a good Dragon's Rage kick, got rid of Svenska, and only cost Unlimited his life. That could have been much worse for them.
Finely balanced game here for SK Gaming against the Copenhagen Wolves. Good advantage gained by the Wolves early on, but you can clearly see the SK Gaming have really clawed their way back into this game, just below 1,000 gold between them. At the moment, Sven Skjern is going to be taking that white. Freddy cleaning out that top wave, and we do have ourselves a pause. So, looks like it is Freddy122, so clearly not happy with his 168 CS over Youngbuck's 148. So, just wondering, he's just going to restart his client and get himself back in there.
Yeah, and we actually see that Youngbuck is working his way towards that Blade of the Rune King now. Decided to go for it as a second item. He's got the Cutlass collected. That's going to allow him to start challenging Renekton in these duels. He's starting to hit a level point now where he can trade a little more evenly. His Subjugate is going to be very powerful now that he's stealing those Sunfire Cape stats, and he's going to regenerate and replenish his life over the course of a fight. So I want to see if Youngbuck's going to continue to try to challenge Freddy, so to speak, and try to control and prevent some of that map and split push.
So what do we make of this game so far? It's a pretty balanced game. We're obviously starting to move into the rotation phase. SK Gaming did very well in that last fight. They set up very well and got themselves an objective. Is this the Wolves falling into their usual problems?
The next Dragon. I will make a definitive statement of the next Dragon. I feel like this particular Dragon was secured because the Wolves didn't have a sweeping lens and they got caught up by the ward that the SK had down, right? What Copenhagen Wolves wanted to do was gank mid lane, get a kill, then go Dragon. It was the safe play. But unfortunately for them, they were stood on top of an SK ward, got caught out, and that allowed SK to do what Copenhagen Wolves planned. So they're thinking about this stage of the game, but they just didn't execute quite as effectively.
Well, we are back in the game. Things are underway. We can see the Copenhagen Wolves shoving in that mid lane, but again, SK Gaming quick to react to this time around, defending off that one and only outer mid turret.
At this point in time, Svenskeren got that Brutalizer picked up. He's going to most likely work towards a Black Cleaver. Whether he decides to go for it like now, rushing up because he's got those 2 kills, or if he wants to go more tanky, that's basically the most damage we're going to see from Wukongs. We don't tend to see them going for the likes of Bloodthirsters or things like that. However, when Svenskeren is ahead, he does build bravely. If you think back to his Pantheon last week, going for that Bloodthirster and going really all in, I think he worked towards an Infinity Edge towards the end of the game as well. So we'll see how Svenskeren decides to itemize.
Yeah, and we also saw, of course, the Avarice Blade coming out from Forgiven instead of going towards that Last Whisper. He's gone for the Standard Shift first, so we'll see how that balances out. Of course, Candy Panda, well, he's got the pickaxe, so he probably will go towards the Last Whisper. He had that pickaxe very early on, though, because of that lack of damage he had in the lane phase and lack of gold, essentially. Red buff being given across to Svenskeren. There is a big clump of Copenhagen Wolves in that mid lane, but they're going to spot out Freddy with that pink ward. Yeah,
Freddy's going to at least drop the ward, get a little bit of gold for himself, deny the vision from Copenhagen Wolves very importantly, and I think Candy Panda has actually held even long enough to be now relevant in the fights. With that Bloodthirster and the pickaxe, he's going to deal a lot of damage with his buckshot and his collateral damage. So we'll see if they can catch anyone. That's not what Enrated wanted.
And Rated gets punted towards Kautar, but I don't think either of them are ready. They do get the slow. That's going to get the leash. Mega Inferno Bomb comes out. They've had to really commit a lot to this one. The shield may save him. Can they have enough? In comes Svenskeren. Cyclone is available.
Wow.
But they don't focus on him. But more importantly, Enrated got away.
Every single ability from Jez's saves Enrated in that situation. The shield is not that, well, actually I lie, 300 HP on that Hell Pix is basically what allowed Enrated to survive. Svenskeren tried to go in Cyclone, too much poke, and Candy Panda grabs the tower.
Grabs the tower, keeps on pushing, and now the rest of SK is starting to react to this one. Freddy coming around the back of them, and Copenhagen Wolves aware of that one. But while this is all happening, Candy Panda is still pushing the bottom lane. He's going to be onto that inner turret now. Nobody's reacting to this.
Svenskeren, we want to see if he wants to engage for this one. Teleport use from Youngbuck, that is a good play. They've got the Summoner spell down, and they just quickly took a look at how Jez is scaling that Lulu. He's going for Help Picks, the E, as the secondary ability. And as it stands right now, plus 230 base shield, and that is what allowed Enrated to get away. So we need to keep our eyes open for that very frequent spell shield that's going to come up for Svenskeren, for Freddy, once bigger fights begin to erupt.
Doing a very good job at keeping Copenhagen Wolves away from this. It seems to me that the Copenhagen Wolves are kind of stalled out in what they want to focus on objectives. They're just all clumping in that mid lane. This is something you'd see from solo queue games. They're just not really focused. You look at other teams, you can see obviously SK Gaming, Candy Panda was continuing to keep the pressure on the top, Freddy pushing the pressure on the bottom, and the top, sorry, and Copenhagen Wolves, they're all just clumping in the middle.
To be fair, I think both of these teams have set their sights on this last outer turret. It's both in the mid lane, and I think SK want to try and free up entrances into the Copenhagen Wolves jungle in much the same way the Wolves would like to do the same to SK. So we're going to see more of these battles in and around the mid lane for those towers, most likely when the Dragon comes up again. If somebody gets caught out in the next minute and a half, that's going to allow the team that catches that gets the kill to push onto the Dragon and start it off fairly safely.
I think you will be more forgiven than I certainly am, that's for sure. As it stands, we do see Freddy, he's rotated towards the bottom, Candy Panda's gone to the top, and they're keeping the pressure both on those outer lanes. Meanwhile, 3 members of SK continue to keep defensive duties in the mid lane.
This Dragon fight is going to signal whether or not Copenhagen Wolves have improved upon their losing streak mistakes. It's this mid-game period where the Copenhagen Wolves tend to fall behind. It's what happened when they played Fnatic last week. It seems they're not at the right place at the right time for the big objectives, and Dragon's coming up in a minute. There's still not a lot of vision around the Dragon Pit for the Wolves, so we'll see how they decide to challenge it out. Unlimited trying to at least support Youngbuck's split push by hitting top.
Let's not forget that teleport is down, so if Youngbuck stays in that top lane, not going to be available, but Candy Panda keeping him pressured up there. Actually, Youngbuck's going to try and engage him, does manage to get the slow. Remember, there's no tower to fall back on here for Candy Panda. Pillar of Ice does block him off there. Candy Panda will back away. He's got the help of Youngbuck if he needs it.
Yeah, he took a lot of damage from that one, and I think if Youngbuck had committed a little bit more, he may have even gone in for the kill, but Candy Panda playing it safe, still had his barrier, still had his flash. He was not really going to get caught up just yet.
Too worried about it. Rabadon's death cap has been completed by Kautar now, just in time for this Dragon. 30 seconds on the timer on that one. We see the blue wards of SK Gaming as Freddy and Youngbuck decide to have a little tit for tat in that top lane. Not really going to go too full on with this one, but Copenhagen Wolves, they're in position to ward out and cover Ace in a hole being used on N-rated, going to chip him down on health.
And so importantly, that sweeping lens didn't actually see the SK Gaming ward just out of range. So SK have got very good vision. They know where the Copenhagen Wolves members are. The ward that the Wolves just walked over, they're not aware that it's there because the sweeping lens did not catch it. So SK have got a little bit of an information advantage. And you see how they're making use of it. Candy Panda is chunking down Kautard.
Good damage on towards that AP mid of Kautard on Ziggs, and that gives SK Gaming a slight positional advantage. They've started off the Dragon. The Wolves may well try and intercept.
Flash Cyclone or Flash Anti-Tibbers. That's what we're looking for here. Svensk's got in!
And he's going to go the Cyclone going down. Youngbuck's going to get caught out here. He's trying to do as much as he can as he's ready. Trying to keep them at bay. Does manage to get the stun down. This is back and forth action. Neither are going to take a kill, and neither are going to take the Dragon.
Both tanks did really well during the course of that fight. Youngbuck and Freddy were really in a good position. They took so much damage, they're going to trade a tower. However, SK gets the Dragon. Copenhagen Wolves are not going to let up. If they stick on this tower, they can get a lot of damage, potentially even killing it.
They do manage to trade objectives, but Copenhagen Wolves are trying to take another one. Jezzys can't keep them at bay here, but they're going to try and collapse around the side. They're going to desperately get away from this one. Not enough damage from SK Gaming, and the Wolves hit and run.
And that was the mobility we were talking about. Karma's going to be able to just move, increase the movement speed of your whole team once she uses that Empower of her ultimate. Copenhagen Wolves get out cleanly. They get themselves 2 towers in response for losing a Dragon. That was a good decision. I think that was weighing up the options they had available and making the best out of that play. SK Gaming once again have set their sights on this outer turret and they're going to siege it down.
Yeah, the pressure's going to stay on towards it. They're going to try and catch it down. A couple more hits, but Candy Banner have to back away from that one. Jezzys placing a hole, blocked out by Svenskaren's clone. And nicely done there from Svenskaren. It does mean, though, SK Gaming do not get that inner turret. Copenhagen Wolves, they've been fighting for that one for a very long time, so they're going to be happy with the turnout of that fight.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the fact that the outer turrets are now all down for the Copenhagen Wolves, they've actually spent a fair amount of time trying to invade SK Gaming. Very early on, they had deep wards in the jungle of SK. We actually seen Youngbuck trying to sort of challenge for that second blue or third blue buff spawn later in the game. So I think the Wolves most likely going to stack up on some wards, get them deep in SK's jungle, and then try challenge for buffs.
Candy Pants back off down the bottom lane, keeping the farm going, trying to keep up, more importantly, with Forgiven. You can see in terms of items, they did go opposite directions. Last whistle was completed by Candy Panda. No surprise he had that pickaxe early on, so may as well make use of the item and complete it. Kautard in that mid lane, just keeping Svenskaren at bay. And rated, realizing the next danger will be the Baron, puts that pink ward down to an invisible Baron.
And there's some very nice synergy here between Svenskaren's Cyclone with Black Cleaver. Going to shred the armor of the enemies that he's hitting. And if Svenskaren engages the fight and Candy Panda follows up with his Buckshot as collateral, it's going to increase the damage that Candy Panda is putting down. So it's quite a nice little, mini synergy between these champions they've locked in. Talked about those pink wards. SK are now starting to get vision control of this objective because we're at the point that either team could start the Baron, use it as a bait, use it as a target to pull your enemies towards you.
Dangerous times though for both teams, I feel. 26 minutes in, it's almost like neither really have the damage to do this one quickly, so it would be a very extended fight. Whoever decides to go for it. I'm not sure either team really are tanky enough. And looking at Freddy's build, of course, he went for that last whisper early on as well. So he's going to have a lot of penetration, trying to get on towards these teams. In converse, you can see Youngbuck also gone for that play of the Rune Kick. So standard build almost from a troll, as it were, we've seen of the last few days.
Yeah, the one thing that we are seeing that's a little bit different is that Amazing has gone for that Aegis of the Legion right now, working his way to the Locket. The Locket of the Iron Solari is something that we're seeing a lot more frequently this week, more so than any other week. And I want to see how effective it is because, once again, we don't have traditional burst mages or burst damage on the side of SK. Youngbuck is going to try and chase down Candy Panda, and I think Candy's in a little bit of trouble.
He should be okay. He can just dash away from that one, get on towards his tower. Svenskaren thinking of heading him off there. Amazing was also coming down to join that party, but there was no party to be had. They were very much late on the invite. Candy Panda continue just to keep pressing out, pushing that bottom turret. He's not too worried about Youngbuck, don't they?
Truthfully, these teams are completely even in every decision they've made. With the exception of Copenhagen Wolves having those towers, it feels like as soon as one team gains an advantage, their opponent is able to find a counterplay, find a kill, and an objective to balance it out. And I think thanks to the fairly good CS numbers across the board for SK Gaming, that's part of the reason that they are staying so close on gold, yet are 2 global objectives down.
It's farming from both teams at the moment. They've force some objectives, and you can see in gold, well, dead even between the two at the moment. Slight advantage for SK Gaming as they wipe out a couple of these, no surprises. But N-Rated well out of position at the moment, looking for him. There's no wards around there from the Copenhagen Wolves. Ace in the hole being used on Svenskeren, trying to bully him out. It's a long way to try and bully him out with that ultimate there.
Part of the reason we're seeing this big slowdown in the game is that for both teams, in order to pick a fight, they just have to all in. They have to throw themselves at their opponents. They don't have the likes of a Vi or a Leona where you can set something up, land a good hook from Thresh, for example. A Flash Tibbers needs to land. A Cyclone has to connect from Svenskeren, and he needs to jump in the whole team. And it's very similar for the Copenhagen Wolves. They need to use Calm and Speed, use Trundle and Lee Sin to jump in. So I think both teams are waiting for someone to either get caught out of position or for a big, important objective to be the central location of a challenge.
Spirit Visage now completed for Freddy. We'll see if that helps him out when he pops out Dominus. His regen is going to be a lot higher. Forgiven. Got to be caught out a little bit by Jesus there, and immediately has to do that combo 90 caliber net to back away. Rated actually going fairly aggressive here. Both supports are going to find each other. Are they going to focus on one another? That's the question. There's a stun on towards Unlimited. Neither are going to follow through. Yeah,
smart play from Unlimited to actually back off there. He was being pulled towards multiple members of SK Gaming, and I think they would have popped him very quickly had he joined River. Right now, Candy Panda has been basically farming up these side lanes uncontested for about 10 minutes. Young Bucks got onto him twice, but never really committed to go for a kill. And I think the fact that Young Buck, Candy Panda rather, is sitting 6 CS down, considering how bad the laning phase was, he's done incredibly well to catch back up.
Mega Inferno Bomb being used out to clear that wave and maybe get a little bit of poke on SK Gaming. Of course, the Dragon being up in 10 seconds. It was only N-Rated they caught out, but that's a much better combo. They may even be able to finish this one through. That bomb will land. Amazing chooses not to follow through with that kick. Instead, they're just going to keep them pressured.
Yeah, Amazing's trying to find something on Svenskeren, though. Does land a Sonic Wave on Freddy, and I've actually seen Amazing didn't go in for the resonating strike on Unrated earlier. Dragon has respawned, and now all of a sudden with the HP advantage, I think the Copenhagen Wolves may be able to get a pick and start this fight. They've got Unrated!
Oh, Unrated's going to get caught out here. Wildgoat's going to try and turn this one back around. They can't quite focus on Amazing enough, though. But now he's taking out the Dragon. He's got to be careful. Forgiven doing a fantastic job of keeping SK Gaming away. They all have to back away. Youngman wasn't even needed.
They didn't need him at all. He had his teleport available, so if a fight were to break out, he could have joined in on the party. But Copenhagen Wolves got so much poke so early on that SK were unable to challenge. And I actually respect the decision from SK to back away. They didn't attempt to force a fight where they were going to get caught out. Now, Youngbuck is surrounded by multiple members of SK.
Jez is in trouble here. You can see Youngbuck trying to keep on him. Mega Inferno Bomb's going to come through. Is he going to have enough damage? Freddy's going to be the next focus. He gets punted in there. Unlimited picks up that kill. Copenhagen Wolves started to take control of SK's jungle.
I'm a little bit confused there. Freddy had his Dominus available. Svenskeren had his Cyclone available, and they decided not to use either of those abilities. Now, forcing Freddy away, Copenhagen Wolves have decided to start the Baron off. There's not a lot of vision here for SK, and you see that Forgiven's not with them. They've killed it where they got Sven.
They've got Svenskeren, and he's going to be in all sorts of trouble. No way about it. This one, Cyclone was used, but it's only buying time. Bottom turret also going down. Forgiven's continuing to pressure on that one. Jesse is trying to keep him at bay, which is leaving Candy Panda completely exposed. And Youngwook is just hammering away on his back there. No way he's getting away from this one. The kick does land. Tries to use the collateral damage, but there's just not enough output. Jez is also struggling against Forgiven. He's continuing to shove this bottom lane while Copenhagen Wolves ace in the hole. Wild goes just about keep him alive, and Rated comes in. Can the support take down the AD carry, or will they turn it around? The lifesteal from Forgiven's doing enough. They have not got the stun available, and Rated desperately trying to get it out there. And the flames coming from Unforgiven. It will be the Baron, though, for the Wolves.
Yeah, the Copenhagen Wolves managing to grab that kill on Svenskeren. We talked about, being a little too safe with the Cyclone. It didn't matter that we've seen Svenskeren going in there. And Forgiven life-stealing his way through the damage that Rated was putting down. Almost able to 1v1 Jez. He's in a very good position. We talked about how banning Lucian and Caitlyn is a good way of making Forgiven's impact less. They didn't do that this game. And Forgiven 0-0-0, no kills, but he's playing the map brilliantly. He kept SK busy, allowed his team to grab that Baron.
And it's a similar story every single game for the Copenhagen Wolves. Once they're over that, say, 25, 30-minute mark, suddenly they realize, oh, This is what we do in a team fight. This is how it works. It's like they just have that brain fart in a 10 to 15, 20 minute spell. They just don't quite know what to do. Instead, SK Gaming, who themselves have been able to draw out games for a very long period of time, SK Gaming with the longest average game time in the LCS, in the European LCS at least. I'm not sure about America, but are up against it now. Copenhagen Wolves, they've got the Baron, they've got themselves a 4,000 gold advantage. They're going to start pushing objectives.
Yeah, and I want to see if Copenhagen Wolves are going to start smelling problems. Because of the fact that SK can stall fairly well, they've got good wave clear from the Lulu and from the Graves. They've got some good, splash damage. It's kind of short range though. Lulu and Graves need to get closer to clear the waves than a Ziggs would need to. And we also see that Amazing's grabbed himself that Thorn Mail. So when it comes to armor items, Copenhagen Wolves have already begun stacking up very heavily. Youngbuck is getting closer and closer to getting his Grandian's Omen completed, and I think that when those two big armor items are in there and locked down, it becomes more difficult for SK Gaming to burn through Copenhagen Wolves' front line and close out team fights.
As it stands, it is the top lane they're going to focus on. Of course, that Baron with around about, looking at it, around about 2 minutes left on it, I believe. Just joking roughly at the timer. Easy to check a Baron timer, by the way, just looking at your opponent. It is a 4-minute timer, just look which quarter it's in. Easy way to check in and out there for anyone coming in towards the solo queue or any other game. Nevertheless, Copenhagen Wolves shoving out this top lane. There's going to be a turret. Mega Inferno Bomb does land very nicely. Copenhagen Wolves, though, may have to be careful here. SK Gaming a knock of nil. Look how low Candy Panda is. Ace in the hole. It's going to get blocked off by Svenskone. But look how much that ultimate is now doing on the Monkey King.
The amount of poke that Kauthard is putting out, he used his ultimate, yes, but it's only a little over a minute cooldown, so it's worth throwing down. Allow them to get the tower. Youngbuck is going to secure the tower themselves, and Freddy, he can't do a thing to stop it. He was hammering away the whole time. He doesn't have the damage to get through Youngbuck right now.
And of course, with that regen that he gets, with that Baron buff, it's a big advantage, and now you can see the Wolves continuing to pressure in there. SK Gaming, rightly or wrongly, trying to force them away from this one. I'm not sure they've quite got enough. Candy Panda again taking exceedingly low. Has to back to the fountain, but he's sticking around. This is danger time for SK. They could lose the game right here.
Remember, first pick was this Annie, and if Annie doesn't get a good initiation for SK Gaming, they're not going to be able to make an impact in the team fights. Ziggs was free and available, and Jez has opted not to go for it this game. Youngbuck has been left uncontested, and he's going to solo secure that inhibitor. The rest of SK just trying to defend as best as they can.
The tower's going to fall any moment now. Svenskone, oh, the Ziggs bomb's going to land. Mega Inferno doing what he can, and look at Youngbuck coming around the backside there on towards Enrated. They're going to try and focus on him. Wild Growth is used, but it's only to Veil to try and use defensive duties. The inhibitor is going down, and the big tanky front line of the Wolves does its job. Cyclone only catching one member, and it instantly gets kicked away by Amazing. They could do nothing to stop the inhibitor falling.
Copenhagen Wolves played that engagement perfectly. Youngbuck grabs the inhib, moves his way to the top lane, threw down the subjugate on Freddy, grabbed the stats from him, and then started the fight. The combo that SK want to do is Cyclone plus Wild Growth plus Tibbers. They never got a chance to because Jesus is forced to do a suboptimal Wild Growth on his support. Yes, you saved and rated, you didn't give up a kill, but what did that offer you? What strength did it give you in the fight? And the answer is none.
And something to take note is, of course, that Forgiven, every single time Svenskone's available, ace in the hole on him. Basically making sure if you're going to come in and cyclone you, we will burst you down in time, or simply Amazing will kick him straight out of the fight. So Svenskone, he's just not built tanky, so he's been focused so heavily, but every time he goes in towards that fight, he can't really engage.
No, he can't survive long enough. And not only can he not survive long enough, the distance on his Nimbus Strike and Flash, it needs to use both of them just to get in range. Once again, you're seeing the ace in the hole from Forgiven just being thrown down onto targets and doing the best he can to poke people out. But as it stands, Copenhagen Wolves, super minions in the top lane, super minions in the bottom lane. Svenskone snuck in from behind, but this needs to be perfect. He needs to get a 5-man Cyclone and a 5-man Tibbers for SK to win a fight.
Tibbers not available yet, so they're going to have to bide their time, try and stall it out. Oh, instead Candy Panda's been kicked beautifully by Amazing. There is the Cyclone. Oh, the Mega Inferno bomb on towards Jez. Jez has taken solo. Has to use the Wild Growth on himself with sacrifices. Freddy 1-2-2. Candy Panda, he's desperately trying to keep themselves in this one. Svenskone is going to get focused off. Doesn't manage to get the clone, but everyone in SK Gaming is so low on hit points now. But the Copenhagen Wolves keep on pushing on this final inhibitor turret.
And no minions though. They need to be a little bit careful. If they stick under the turret, there is still damage that's coming out from SK. But Candy Panda's low. low. He needs to heal. He hasn't done it. They've gone in.
They've gone in, they've got counter, they've got the stun on Forgiven. Is it going to be enough? Svenskeren trying to get on towards him, but the lifesteal coming back out. Oh, Jesus comes in, finishes him off, and now he's going to run for his life from Amazing. Amazing has to land the kick. Will he manage to focus it down? Gets the clear lance. Oh, sidestep there from Jesus, and he will be safe. Youngbuck now being chased down. SK Gaming, but the Pillar of Ice will stop him dead in his tracks. Jesus comes in, will he land the clear lance? He's going to get on towards him. Amazing comes back on towards him, hits and run, but that's going to be Youngbuck going down. Candy Panda clears him out. Back and forth action. It was a 4 for 2.
Copenhagen Wolves had no minions. They had no place to be underneath the tower that early on. They needed to wait for the supers to be on the base of SK before engaging. You see the supers have only hit the towers now. If Copenhagen Wolves had delayed that fight by 20, 30 seconds, it would have been a lot more damage to the SK base. Nevertheless, SK hold on by a thread, as only SK Gaming can. No other team can dig as deep as this team can, and they've got the game, stalled it a couple more minutes. We'll see how Copenhagen Wolves, refresh, spend their gold, and I want to see how they re-challenge.
Well, Dragon's going to be picked up by Amazing, no problem soloing that one anymore. Baron up in 30 seconds. Cast your mind back, ladies and gentlemen, to week 1. 50 minutes into that game, SK Gaming smite stole the Baron away from Copenhagen Wolves, and that is definitely going to be in the backs and the minds of the Wolves.
Yeah, and I don't think the Wolves even need to challenge for it unless they're pulling SK towards them. As it stands, they've got a large amount of vision on the blue buff side of SK Gaming. They've got a lot of super minions streaming into the base, so Wolves need to play this one patiently and passively. I feel they don't need to make a risky play. If they're sitting inside that Baron pit, the threat of a flash Tibbers a Tibbers plus a Cyclone is significantly higher, so they need to be very careful. Looking at Enrated, his flash is still a mile away, so that at least reduces the risk a little bit.
Blue team's inhibitors respond.
There is Super Minions still pushing on that top lane, but SK Gaming, N-rated, trying to get in, get those wards on towards that Baron, almost got killed out simply by Amazing. Happily going towards that blue buff, wasn't stolen away. Now Svenskeren in trouble. Pillar of Ice going to keep him at bay. Freddy122 backing off, but you can see SK Gaming, they want a challenge for this one. They've got to deal with those minions coming down the lanes though.
They've got some time. If you look at the bottom wave, it's been pushed up very heavily towards the Copenhagen Wolves side of the map, but Svenskeren, he's gone in on Amazing, has not popped the Cyclone yet, but now it's left their backline open, and Candy so close to being caught.
And Candy Panda, almost always the safest player, staying very far back. He's really putting himself in some dangerous situations here. But now that static shift complete, along with the Bloodthirst last Whisper, he's going to be doing a lot of damage. Infinity Edge is almost done as well. Could be the Shaving Grace. Oh, Jez's, only Jez's. And he managed to shield off and heal that damage. That was not a good ulti.
No, not right now. Again, low cooldown, so I think it should be available by time the Wolves need it. I actually think at this point in time, they need the SK Gaming needs to kill Forgiven very quickly. I prefer Caitlyn in this late game scenario with Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, and Static Shift to a Graves. Longer range, a little bit safer, and we'll see if SK can capture them. 20 minutes ago, SK tried to siege this mid tower down for Copenhagen Wolves, and they have yet to take it. We'll see if they can do it on this wave.
Well, they had their chance because Jesus was away, but they couldn't push it in because the wave clear, of course, with Forgiven getting that Piltover Peacemaker straight down the line, kept them all at bay, along with that static shift. Good wave clear, Kautar's back, and no chance of shoving on towards this one. Jesus is trying to see if he can get any little picks on towards Kautar.
And I also want to highlight Forgiven's tier 3 boot choice that he's gone for. He's gone for those four attack speed plus movement speed upgrade. As he's attacking, he's going to kite just a little bit more. Try it once again, staying out of range. Svenskeren's decoyed up. And look at the minefield. Completely mitigates that initiation.
I don't even know why you tried to run for that, because you saw the minefield go down to start with. Oh, this time the Mega Inferno bomb lands nicely. And Svenskeren already down to half hit points again. That Cyclone is going to be a dangerous ulti for him to use.
Notice how the Copenhagen Wolves haven't used Baron up until this point because there's no super minions in the base of SK, so they don't have the map presence. There is a lot of vision now around the pit in blue for the Wolves, so they could start to use it. However, SK have realized a small opportunity, push the wave towards the tower, and we'll see if Candy Panda can get it. It's only going to take 2 or 3 auto attacks.
Slight positional advantage, but again, that Pillar of Ice doing its job. Ace in the hole comes through. That's going to chip N-rated down to a third of his health. That bomb just rattling through. Jez is getting chased by Amazing as well. And SK Gaming again, while they thought they had position, have to back off.
Yeah, SK was split up there. They retreated in 2 different directions, and now Candy Panda, realizing the red buff is up, doesn't want to pick a fight. Once again, we talk about the fact that neither of these teams have a very clear, safe initiation. A Tibbers is not a safe initiation. It can miss. It can be dodged like we've already seen this game. And that's why these fights are taking so long to get started. Wolves finally going to grab Baron. Nobody from SK can get there quickly enough.
Yeah, that's an easy Baron. They do manage to take that middle turret, but really, to what avail? For a Baron, for an outer turret, not a fair trade by any stretch. But SK just felt, I don't think they could deal with that one. They are going to try and take the bottom inner turret. That's maybe where they're going to focus on. And the Copenhagen Wolves setting up a trap for this one. But again, Pillar of Ice, easy face check.
Yeah, definitely. A smart move as well. Youngbuck realizing that SK had not on the map. They can Inferno Bomb. Countdown is using it just to poke down, just to throw as much damage as possible. Sven should be able to get out cleanly from this one. And once again, there's no strong initiation from this team, so I feel like these prolonged battles will continue, most likely until Copenhagen Wolves push onto the inhibitors. I think SK are playing very brave by pushing outside of their base.
They're going to go on towards Counter. Have they locked him up? No! Immediately backs away from that one, gets out of the flash with the stun, and the collateral damage was used. Candy Panda himself had taken an ace in the hole before that one, but SK Gaming trying to get positional advantage, pressuring desperately on towards this inner turret. They may have enough damage to take it down. That's a great job up against the Wolves with Baron.
It worked in their favor, but they invested that flash Tibbers from N-rated. They were unable to get a kill. If the kill had landed, they could potentially have pushed further, but as it stands, Copenhagen Wolves are responding. Youngbuck is split pushing down towards the bottom lane, and the rest of the team is pushing through middle. I really think the big fight will happen around these inhibitors, because SK, very, very brave to push out that deep.
Remember, they're trying to delay this Baron as much as they can. This is going to be a long siege that they're going to have to hold off here, though. Again, ace in the hole, just chipping down those members of SK Gaming, driving down their hit points. Youngbuck again, shoving that open, exposed bottom lane. Svenskeren in the exact same position he was before, waiting to use that Cyclone, try and catch someone out in the rotation. And Copenhagen Wolves are backing up. Oh, the ward placement from...
He got it.
Not quite catching out. Svenskeren's not going to be able to get that one. But this is delaying nicely for SK Gaming once again.
I also like the fact that the Wolves had thought about it. They'd already remembered, hey, Svenskeren tried to flank us. He tried to come in from the side, so they made sure they got a ward down. I think Svenskeren, he's trying to find an initiation. He hasn't had a single clean Cyclone onto the members of Copenhagen Wolves this entire game. And I think that's a testament to how well Copenhagen Wolves are positioning themselves in and around these very important objectives. They're not allowing themselves to get stacked up or caught out in too many members. And look at the armor that's starting to be built up here. I mean, Unlimited on Karma, he's got a needlessly large rod as well as a Haunting, guys. There's the Rambian Omen on the side of Youngbuck as well as that Thornmail that's been there for a while. It's going to take a lot of time to burn through those tanky items of the Copenhagen Wolves.
Well, only about 70-80 seconds left on this Baron buff, and SK Gaming are continuing to push out against those minions in that mid wave, keeping the Copenhagen Wolves busy. SK Gaming so good at stretching out games.
10,000 gold difference, and arguably one convincing team fight could potentially end the game. There is so much damage from every single one of these champions in the game right now that if SK were very deeply pushed in around the river, around their buffs, get a number of members of Copenhagen Wolves, they could actually rush down. There's an inhibitor turret available in that mid lane. But as it stands right now, it is just basically lane control. Wolves and SK are looking for a lane to work in their favor, and when the lanes work in their favor, they push out. That's part of the reason SK was so pushed up a few minutes ago. The top lane was a massive wave of minions pushing against the Wolves turrets.
Again, ace in the hole comes through, N-rated catches on towards it, Cyclone in this time around. They do get Kautar down very quickly, but Youngbuck's in their faces. SK desperately trying to get back to their own turret, and they do manage to hit and run. Have they done enough to keep the Wolves at bay? You can see again, they're trying to get on towards the front there. The board Baron buff is about to run out as well. So the Wolves, well, if they're going to siege this, they're going to have to do it without that buff.
Yeah, it's such a great initiation. For the first time, I think Svenskeren really finding a great opportunity. He caught Kautar unexpected, coming in from the side. Kautar had no mines down. There was no early poke put down onto Svenskeren, and that allowed SK to get a good initiation, a good clean fight for them. However, because they're so far behind, they took a lot of damage, and wow, that's a lot of hurt.
That was a single basic attack from Candy Panda as well onto Forgiven, so it shows that if either of these AD carries do manage to get some clean shots on one another, they will take each other down very quickly. SK Gaming trying to take advantage of those long death timers now, pushing down that mid lane with a 15-second death timer on Kautar.
Now we'll see how quickly SK can defend or can attack this tower. Because of the short range of Graves, it is a little bit risky. Look at that Pillar of Ice plus auto attacks. It's melting Candy Panda's HP.
Yeah, immediately has to back out. This is going to cause the back away. Kevin, though, Freddy will try and face this one off. Kevin's not in SK Gaming anymore as a Millennium, but it's going to be the Pillar of Ice. Freddy's tanking up as much as he can. They're going to go on towards Youngbuck. Svenskeren trying to get in there. Mega Inferno bomb from Jesus forces Freddy really low now. Can Amazing manage to catch on towards him? Youngbuck tries to get the Pillar of Ice down. Again, they can't turn the fight around. Is there? They're going to go in towards Amazing. Amazing taking low. Cyclone back up, and he's going to get dropped. That's going to be the mid lane. Jesus down. It's 3 down. That's going to be 4 down. And Copenhagen Wolves shoving straight down the mid lane. The triple kill for the respawn. Jesus, Touch should surely be the end of the game.
They've got enough time to finish this one out. We'll see if they go straight for the tower or if they want to go for the inhibitors. But SK Gaming underestimating the weaknesses of their siege. They were hoping to get the tower. They were hoping to put some damage down. But Graves is such a short-range AD carry. It allowed the Copenhagen Wolves to just engage on them. The Wolves have done it.
The Wolves have done it. They've taken victory here and revenge over SK Gaming. And more importantly, they've ended that 4-game losing streak. Youngbuck very much relieved on that one. Still not convinced by the Trundle in the top lane against the Renekton, but it has worked for the Wolves, and you've got to give giant credit to Kautar.
We talked about how effective Trundle was going to be in the late game. We said how important that